Dan here again with another video. Today's video is about a dog's purpose. As you know, dogs fill many functions in society. We have bomb dogs, we have drug detection dogs, allergy dogs, cadaver dogs.
Anyway, like I was saying, shrimp is the fruit of the sea. You can barbecue it, boil it, broil it, bake it, saute it. There's shrimp kebabs, shrimp creole, shrimp gumbo, pan fried.
We have flyball dogs. We have dogs for herding. And oh yeah, the biggest category of them all, companion dogs. Probably at least 98% of all dogs fit into that category. And there's lots of trainers that look down on people and their companion dogs, even though that's how they make their living, is by training companion dogs. They think because they have a Malinois, they compete in a bite sport, that all of a sudden they're holier than thou and they're so much better and more important than everybody else. And I think trainers sometimes need to wake up and look who's paying their bills. You have to remember that in today's society, mental illness is a huge factor. We have people that are depressed and lonely, and if a dog can help bring some sunshine into the light of those people that are depressed and lonely, who are you to be critical of them with your terms like, oh, look at Fur Mom or this or that? Look, you guys know what you do. It's on these private trainers' Facebook groups where you ridicule the general public because they happen to spoil their dog a little bit, and you act like you have some higher level of knowledge, or you're some superior being or something like that. I've had a very long career in the IT world, working in corporate America for a whole bunch of Fortune 500 companies. I can tell you that dog training, it has been my greatest passion and gives me more joy than that career. But at the end of the day, none of us are out there finding a cure for cancer. We're not solving world hunger. We're not coming up with a solution to the world's energy needs. We're not doing any of that. We're simply dog trainers. So keep that in mind, and let's not be so critical. So for these people that are lonely and depressed, a lot of people don't even know what that's like. Picture every morning when you wake up that you have this darkness, just like what I have behind me here. You have this darkness, that everything is gloom for your entire day. Nothing makes you happy. You have 1,000 pounds of weight on your shoulder, and that's day after day. And for some of these people, a dog helps them lift that weight off their shoulders. So again, before you're critical of the Fur Mom, maybe you need to give that some consideration. So now let's take a lot of trainers that step in to become the superhero to these people, right? So a lot of people are just looking for a little bit of help with their dog, and yet when the trainer shows up, this is what it turns into.
Go! What's your sole purpose in this army?
To do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant.
God damn it, Gump! You're a goddamn genius. That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted, Private Gump.
When people hire a trainer, they're looking to maybe do more with their dog, fix a few problems, and what typically happens is the trainer comes in and he has a whole laundry list of things. Well, you can't do this and you can't do that. And, there's just this list of things that we're not going to allow the dog to do. And yet many trainers aren't giving any alternatives. They're basically teaching the owner to be, a prison guard. I'm sorry, but that's not what a dog's purpose is to me. I think a dog should be much more than that. That companionship, it should be something a living being that you're spending time with and you're engaging activities. And if you do enough activities with your dog, a lot of those problem behaviors evaporate, and you don't have to use as much of a suppression type approach. Let me take my own mother. My mother's, over 80 years old. She has a 120-pound Cane Corso. She doesn't use prong collars, e-collars, any of that. Why doesn't she? My mom weighs less than 120 pounds. Why doesn't she need any of that? Because ever since the dog was 10 weeks old, she took the dog everywhere. The dog does everything. The dog goes with her multiple places every single day. The dog's seen everything, so the dog's not going to be reactive. The dog's not going to want to drag her around. The dog's not going to want to snap at somebody because it has a very fulfilling life, and these things aren't all of a sudden shock or something to be afraid of or reactive to. And again, a lot of trainers out there simply don't get that. When people train with me very early on, I explain to them, I give the dog a vocabulary via positive reinforcement, and then we try to get engagement where the dog's interested in us. And then when we have very strong competing motivators, that's when we layer in the aversives. But I don't start out by, putting a prong on the dog and cranking away and telling them that they need to be the dog's boss and they can't allow the dog, they have to control the state of mind. The whole wording state of mind or controlling state of mind used to be prevalent in so many videos about 5 to 10 years ago, and thankfully those videos are a lot less. You had trainers bragging about, oh, look, I can read my newspaper. My dog's there laying on the floor and he's not getting into anything and he's not doing this and not doing that. I don't know. When you start bragging about all the things that your dog's not doing and not the things that he can do, I think that's you're going down a dark path there. That's not what dog ownership is supposed to be. So again, I'm more about enabling and not disabling. People that train with me, what I tell them is most trainers, they want to stop excitement. Me, I love excitement. I just want to put that excitement on a schedule. When you teach your dog to be appropriately excited, you get engagement out of your dog, and now your dog's interested in you, and now you're not having to crank as hard on that prong collar. Just tonight, I saw this video that people were applauding. It was somewhere in the UK. The dog's on a prong collar, and the trainer is basically showing how to use leverage on the dog to get it to turn. And she's basically stiffening up her shoulders and her arm, and you have this German Shepherd that's sitting there not doing anything, and it's panting, and then all of a sudden she's turning and it's being jerked, and people are applauding that this is great dog training. The people that come here, I'm telling them, look, I want you to move with your dog where you're holding that leash with 2 fingers. I want the dog to want to follow you. We're in some cases when there's a bigger, a competing motivator, we're going to use more pressure, but that should, in a hall with other dogs that are being calm, or even outside, you shouldn't need to be cranking right off the bat like that. There's a time and a place for that. Now, don't think I'm some, ultra soft marshmallow where I'm totally against, a more stern correction. But here's the thing, stern corrections are needed perhaps with very driven and hard and tough dogs, but that's not what the pet community owns. Most of these dogs are afraid of their own shadow. They're soft. You don't need all this yanking and cranking all the time. You can get so much done just by getting the dog interested in you and not turning into a war. So let me move on to the next subject. So we do have I almost forgot. So one of the things that is beyond laughable that many of these trainers preach is they will tell their clients, you can't let your dog on the bed or a couch because your dog will eventually become aggressive. I have never heard something so ridiculous in all my life. Letting your dog on a bed or a couch does not magically transform your dog's DNA to the point where you now have an aggressive dog. Now, If your dog is a resource guarder or he was born aggressive, meaning that's who he is, if he goes up on the couch, yeah, when you go to sit on the couch, you might get a fight out of him and he might even tear you up. That's a small percentage of dogs. I've personally worked with dogs like that. And in the one case, I did take so here's some honesty and transparency out of me. I took a rough road with that dog. And again, for that particular dog, the soft and easy way wasn't going to work. Look, the dog had bitten the female owner in the face, and she had scars from it. They couldn't even sit down on the couch when that dog was on the couch. They didn't know how to get it off the couch. So I showed them in 5 minutes, and no, normally that is not my approach at all, and I'm very much against this reality TV type approach. There are very rare cases where you need to go down that harder road, but that should not be the majority of your training clients. I have fearful dogs that come here all the time that take a shot at me where they bark, they growl, the hackles are up. So first thing you know, when the hackles are up is what? The dog is fearful. So what do? I get some food. And again, so a lot of people, you trainers out there with these huge egos, you're going to be highly critical of this. But I get the dog on a longer leash. I get some food. I drop food. The dog might not be interested in food. So I get the dog to follow me around on a longer leash, and I slowly reel the dog in. Some of these dogs are very driven for a ball. I start bouncing a ball. Sometimes we'll turn the dog loose, and me and the owner just throw the ball back and forth for a while. And incidentally, there's a world champion trainer that his protocol, that's one of the things he does, right? The last time I did something like that, this week, I have a lady that came here with a dog where the very first session I couldn't get near the dog, was growling and barking at me. And on the second session, I mean, I'm playing with the dog. The dog's taking the ball out of my hand and, following me around. I can walk the dog around on the leash and hold the leash with 2 fingers, and I didn't have to do anything nasty. I had another case recently, a dog that had bitten somebody. And by the end of the session, the dog was sitting on my lap licking my face. In both these cases, these dogs are being driven by fear. You don't need the hard road. So, when you're going to throw around, these fur moms that let their dogs on couches and this and that, you really need to think about that a little bit. Again, these dogs are providing a valuable service to these people. And, if they're a bit spoiled, it's not the end of the world. When people come to me, for instance, if they lavish their dog with affection, I tell them, okay, that's a resource that we can't use. What else do we have? Does your dog have some food drive? Do they have a ball drive? We find something that they can use. I don't immediately tell the owner, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Now, if they are engaging in behaviors that are dangerous, say where a child could be bitten, for instance, the dog's a resource guarder, well, yeah, then I'm going to get really, really preachy. Because I don't want kids being bitten, I don't want dogs being euthanized, and I don't want parents carrying around the mental baggage for the rest of their life. So there are occasions where I'm preachy too, and I realize online there's a lot of unfortunate things I've said in the past, but those unfortunate things typically were said because I felt bad for a dog that I had never met. It was a combination of anger and sorrow at the same time, thinking about this poor dog having this horribly ignorant owner. Okay, so now that we're on the subject of owners, let me talk a little bit about that too. Nothing drives me more crazy than people that run out there and they get a working breed. They get a German Shepherd, a Malinois, a Doberman, or power breeds like Pit Bulls, and when they come to me, I say, okay, what does this dog's life look like? Tell me a little bit about this dog. And everything they hear, well, they're putting food bowl down and the dog gets a structured walk because they saw that on YouTube somewhere. And I'm there, yeah, but What does the dog have for, mental enrichment? What are you giving to challenge this dog's mind? A lot of your problems are because you're not doing anything with your dog. Look, I don't have a problem with people owning power breeds. I love the power breeds. They're my favorite type of dog. I love working dogs. But let me also be honest, the most neurotic dogs I have ever seen have been border collies. Typically, the person owns 2, 3, 4 border collies. They live in the suburbs. Well, they might have a 1/4 acre backyard, and they don't do anything. You can tell by when you meet the people. They're couch potatoes, right? And the dog doesn't get any exercise. The dogs have now lost their mind, and now the dogs are willing to bite almost anything. The most insane things I have ever seen have been with pet owners that own border collies. Typically, when one thinks of aggression or anxious dogs, one of the first breed that pops in your mind is typically not a border collie. I feel bad for these dogs. If you know that you're not the type of person to go, to walk 3-4 miles a day, don't run out. And walking's a terrible use of your time anyway. But if you're the type of person that enjoys sitting on the couch more than you do going out to exercise and do something, stay away from the power breeds. Here, let me give you a good alternative. If you like a dog that's very athletic, that's capable of being athletic, but needs very little in the way of, that sort of stimulation, this answer is going to shock you. But go and get yourself a retired, and when I say retired, the dog might be 1 year old, but a greyhound. I realize that most of the tracks in the U.S. have now been shut down, so there's fewer of these dogs. But if there's still some out there available, I don't know if greyhound racing has been shut down in every state, they make wonderful pets. Typically, they're very happy to sit there with you and watch a movie 2 hours with you patting their head, and you put a food bowl down. And you know what? When you take them out for a walk, you don't have to be a runner. They're happy to go for a leisurely walk. Yeah, if they see a rabbit or something and you let go of the leash, you might get a big problem out of them. But for the most part, they're really good dogs. Sometimes people get the small dogs, but then when you spoil the small dogs and you never have any rules, so again, contrary to what I said a minute ago, if you don't have any rules and you let the dog walk all over you, yes, you can end up with a Napoleon complex type dog where the dog's now snapping at everything, barking at everything. Again, some mental enrichment is definitely going to help with those little dogs too. But those little dogs do need some rules, and they do need consequences. And yes, there's dogs less than 10 pounds that come here that I put them on prong collars at some point. So I don't want my message to be too one-sided. I just want people to think a little bit about what they say to other people. And that's me included again, that I realize I've said some pretty tough things in the past. And like I said, doing these videos and talking about these sorts of things, it's really giving me a lot of self-realization, and it's inspiring me to make changes in my own life so that I do put out a much more balanced and a balanced message, and one that is more encompassing and understanding and has perspective of what the typical owner's mindset is. Well, anyways, that's it for today. Thank you for watching the video. And if you liked it, please hit the subscribe button, and hopefully you'll return for the next one. Thanks.